Hey y'all, it's me, Cody. Welcome to the CodiKnits podcast. This is episode number 86. I'm Cody, and you can find me on Instagram. Go around. You gotta go around. No, go around. No, don't jump on there. You'll knock the phone over. No. She, of course, was sitting on the couch. I've been trying to get her to sit in my lap all morning, but no, she was sitting on the couch under the blankets. I was been watching some knitting a little and spinning a little this morning and watching podcasts. Nothing to do with me, but as soon as I start recording, she pokes her little head up and she wants to come sit in my lap. You know, don't you? So this is Diamond, for those of you who may not know. It's my little baby. She's the real reason people come to see the podcast, right? Yeah. Good girl. So, I was saying, you can find me on Instagram as nurse_Cody, and Cody spelled CODI. And I'm CodiKnits on Ravelry, and there's a podcast group on Ravelry, CodiKnits Podcast. I do some, what do you call them? Giveaways on there sometimes, so if you're interested, go check that out. And then, of course, here on YouTube, CodiKnits Podcast. Someone recently was wanting to kind of talking about calling our knitting podcast like knitcasts and stuff like that, which is I think is really cool. But and I'm happy to refer to it as that, but I'm not going to change the name of my channel. It's it's CodiKnits Podcast is what I titled things, and I'm not going to change that, but I think it's fun to kind of call it a knitcast or something like that, the way that cross stitching has like floss tube and things like that. So knit tube, maybe we want to call it knit tube or something like that. But yeah, what is it? So I have been doing a bit of knitting and a little crochet and some spinning, and I wanted to come on and show you. It is a very gray, rainy day today. It's not raining at the moment, but it's very, very gray, overcast, kind of foggy this morning. I had a wonderful weekend. The week was so crazy at work. It was so busy, and I felt like I couldn't catch up, and I still have a couple things to do to catch up, but I'm gonna do that today and start tomorrow on a fresh slate. And sorry, I'm a little out, having some gunk, so I apologize for that. But anyway, I wanted to come on and show you and say hello and all that kind of stuff, right? So, what should we start with? I don't have any discharged objects, so no FOs, but I do have a couple of works in progress to show you. I have a little bit of progress on my sock. This is a project bag by Rick at Whimsy Stitches. It's a rainbow project bag. It's got this fun little rainbow thing on it. I can't remember if I got that from him or if I got it from somewhere else. But I love these. He has this little, it's the one side drawstring, but it has these little cord and the squeezy thing, and it has a handle. Excuse me. Which is really fun. And the yarn is here. And I'm pretty sure I showed you this last time. I had finished the sock. So you, just in case you didn't see last time, this is what the socks look like. I did a contrasting heel and toe. And I have done the cuff and started on the leg. So this is kind of, I haven't been putting a whole lot of work on this. This is kind of like when I'm just, most of my socks are like that when I'm going out and knitting in public or with friends and things I don't really have to concentrate on. Although I really do want to knit the new sock pattern that's in the Bakery Bears, Kay Jones, the Swish and Flick collection. One of those patterns is a sock pattern, and I don't want to tell any more than that because I don't want to spoil it, but I do really want to knit that sock as well, so I need to buy some yarn for it. I have lots of sock yarn, but that particular pattern you don't need it. I don't like striping yarn, wouldn't be really suitable for that. So I got a little progress on that. I've done a little crochet. I bought a little bit more yarn so I could do a baby size blanket of the I was originally doing a baby blanket in this ripple pattern, and it ended up being so long I made it like a lap blanket for kind of to go over or with the maybe if she has a glider or rocking chair. But I'm doing this corner to corner, so that's how tall it is so far and how wide. Ooh, lots of ends to weave in there's gonna be, but what I'm doing is 4 rows of blue, 2 rows of the variegated, sorry this is really hard to show, and then 4 rows of green, variegated 2 rows, and then repeat that. And I'm paying attention, and I've learned that this side, this edge tells me how tall the blanket's gonna be, and this side, this from here to here tells me how wide the blanket is gonna be. So if you're doing a corner to corner, it's kind of weird because you are knitting it from this little, you start at this corner, right? And so it took me a little while to wrap my head around how this works. So it's pretty, simple if you want to do a square, right? You can just keep going until you get half your yarn, and then do the other half. Start doing decreases instead of increases. Well, if you want to do it in a rectangle, so that means you want it to be longer than it is wide, right? You want it to be a certain width still, but you want it to be longer and not just keep getting wider and wider. So that means that so remember I said this edge tells me how tall it's gonna be. So if you want a rectangle, and then you stop increasing on this side, you don't increase, and you keep increasing on this side, because this side's going to get taller, and this side is going to stay that width. And then once you get it as tall as you want, you can start decreasing down, and then it'll kind of even out into your perfect rectangle. I hope that made sense, and I hope I didn't say that backwards, because I'm a little bit dyslexic sometimes. But anyway, I've been doing that. It shouldn't take me too long, but I've been having to kind of force myself to do this. Not because I don't enjoy it, but because I've been obsessed with my next work in progress. It's my sweater. And oh, that's all. All of that yarn is called yarn. It's Yarn Bee. It's 100% acrylic. It's very soft. And this variegated color is called Sea Breeze. The dark green is called Olive, and this blue is called Turquoise. And just something to keep in mind, I talked about this previously, but the solids have a lot more yardage on them than the variegated. This has 199 yards, while the solids have 300 yards. So it's basically 100 yards difference. And so keep that in mind if you're gonna use this in like a striping thing. You know, I've been lazy and it's been in the Hobby Lobby bag lately. Oh, I was gonna tell you the yarn for the socks, the rainbow socks, is this yarn. It's white birch fiber art, and it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and the color is called Nothing Says Screw You Like a Rainbow. So that's that. Let me put that back in here before I lose it. And now, technically, I've been keeping this in this bag. This is Harry Potter bag, and it has my buttons on there. But it hasn't really been being in this very often. I've been leaving it right on the little ottoman in the middle of in front of my couch, because I just want to knit on it all the time. Oh, when I bought that yarn, I bought another one of these kind of row counters. I love these, and they're kind of expensive. They're $12 at Hobby Lobby, but I really like them. So I try to buy one anytime I go in there, and use the 40% coupon. I think it's either 30 or 40% off coupon that's in that you can get online. It's like, just go and you can use it on one item. So that, and the yarn, when I bought that, it was 30% off for that. So I got a really good deal there. I digress. Let's see it. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. So the sweater, this is what it looks like. Not the best picture because it's in black and white, but it's got a beautiful cable panel down the front, and it's got some texture on the sleeves, and I love it. This is called Brookings Crew. It's a unisex cable jumper with men's fit by Olive Knits. The designer is Marie Green with an E at the end. And I really, it has a chart and written section, and I have the whole repeat. The cable section is a 12-row repeat, and I have it memorized now, and that made it go a lot quicker. I didn't have to keep going back and reading it, but I memorized it pretty quickly. It's pretty much, reading your knitting and then just knowing which rows you actually do the purl on. The cable on, because you don't cable every single row. You're knitting. So some of it is like rest rows where you're just knitting, and you just got to remember to do the little texture pattern in between. But this is it so far. It is, I guess you can't really see that, but it is to the point where I believe I need to start doing it said to knit for so many inches under the arm. I don't want to tell that because I don't want to give away the pattern because it is paid for. But anyway, it's to the point now where, I mean, you probably can't really tell, but to start doing the ribbing at the bottom. So I'm going to take it off the needles and try it on, just to make sure. I did do that earlier when it was like, when I was up somewhere around here, just to make sure it was gonna fit, and it fits well. So I'm happy, I'm pleased with the fit. I think it was a little hard to tell because it's so, it's loose down here because you don't have that ribbing to draw it in and make it, but it fit me in the chest and all that kind of stuff. So and I have not been alternating skeins, and I should have. You should do that when you're using like hand-dyed yarns, but the thing is you can't tell, because I did have help making sure I got close to the same color and dye lot. But there's no, as you can see, you can't really tell a little break in color change or anything. When I look at it, I don't see it. And one thing that helps with that is that the yarn is already a little bit tonal. It's beautiful. And the yarn itself is Malabrigo Rios. So it's superwash merino, and the color is 683 cyan. I guess I'm saying that word right. And I love it. To me, it's blue. So, yeah, I have been knitting on this sucker. And I have used, so I have 3 full skeins, 3, 4. So I've finished 2 skeins already, and I have this much left of the 3rd one. So I'm getting good. I think I'm going to have more. Most likely I'm going to have, I'm thinking at least 1 leftover skein, which I'm not mad about. But I'd rather have more than 2, not enough. Yeah, that's not a fun thing. And this is the cable needle I've been using. It's just some clover, I think, come in plastic. I think I would really enjoy a wooden one. But anyway, it does the job. And I just usually stick the cable needle in the middle of my cake so I don't lose it. And yeah. So I have to knit I gotta try it on to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a good place, because when I do like this, it does hit me right at my hip bone. So a couple inches of ribbing will make it perfect, I believe. So, and then I can keep trying on. The ribbing you can adjust really easily. The thing about the cable pattern is because it's 12 row repeat, it can add another good, a good 1.5 inch to 2 inches in that repeat. So I don't know that I want to do a whole nother put that much in a cable, but I'll try it on and see, because I'm a little weird and I don't want to stop in the middle of the rows, the cable repeat. I want to end on 12, the row 12, and I've done that here. So anyway, so I got to do the ribbing at the bottom. I got to pick up and knit the sleeves, and then I have to do the neck band, or neck, whatever it's called, the neck place. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have plenty of yarn, so I'm happy about that. Knitting them on some fixed Chalgu needles. I didn't swatch for this, which you should. But what I did do was I just cast on and started knitting, and then once I got a spot big enough where I could actually count my stitches, I just did it then, and it was pretty spot on. So I'm really happy. I'm happy with the fabric so far. It's got a good drape to it. It's not too stiff, but it's not see through either. So I'm very excited about this. So I've been knitting like on this like a madman. Yeah, it's fun. So and I was gonna now it's spinning, and I was gonna ouch. What is it? Huh? What is it? What is it? Hmm? What is it? What is it, little nugget? Huh? What is it? Huh? I love you. I love you, little nugget. Oh. Anyway, I had to give my doggy some loving. Mm-hmm. So, some spinning. I finished, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this. Ouch, sorry. And this is my first, I'm trying to get the light. Sorry, the light's not good. But this is my first completed hand spun on using the spinning wheel. And the spinning wheel I have is a Kiwi, and it was gifted to me by a very sweet person who lives locally, and so was this fiber. And she said that she isn't going to really use it, and she thought, I had been wanting to learn to spin or try to spin on a spinning wheel, and so she gave it to me to try out. And I've really been, ooh, there you go. That's the colors right there. So I don't know the yardage, and I can't remember what yarn this is, but it's a very this has been washed. It's 2-ply, and I'll try to get a little closer so you can see. It's very thick and thin, very hand spun-y, and it's got some barber poling in certain spots. But you can see like there's sections where, it's like that, and then you got some sections where it's a little more plump. But I was overall pretty happy. I didn't write down how much yardage is on there. It's very soft. This will be a nice little hat, I think, to knit up. But yeah, that was exciting. My first hand spun, completely finished on the spinning wheel. I've have a couple of skeins where I did it on the drop spindle, so there's that. And now here's the skein, or hank. This is a hank of yarn. Anyway, that was fun. And then I spun some other yarn, fiber. And this was a interesting little experiment. This was some Malabrigo, and so I spun this up, and it was on 2 bobbins worth, and clearly my one bobbin had a lot more one bobbin had more yarn on it. But the other issue I have is that my bobbin, when I was plying, the bobbin filled up before I ran out of yarn. So I think I need to buy, I think there's things called like a plying bobbin or something like that, where it's a little bit bigger, holds more yarn. But for this yarn, this spun up so quickly, and I think I did a little bit better getting things a little bit more consistent. But I think it's I don't know. But anyway, this is a homemade nitty knotty, by the way, PVC pipe. But let me show you up close, if I can. So yeah, this is some beautiful pinks, purples and blues, and I think that's kind of pink, but it's mostly purple. So you can see it's a little bit more consistent. At least I think it is. So I have this, and I don't know how, I don't, I need to count how many wraps I have and then measure it and figure out how many yards I have, but I haven't done that yet. This will be going into the bath shortly. But I did a little bit of playing around since I had the excess, right? So this is some, and I just kind of wound it off. That's a single. This is that yarn in single. And I don't know if I over twist it. I don't know. I've just been playing and having fun. But anyway, that's what it does. So it's kind of it seems like toward the end, it got more, I was spinning it a lot thicker. So I wanted to I had some extra. I wanted to just see what's the difference. And so this is the single. And then I wanted to try that. This is a 2-ply. So I took 2 and spin them together. And I am doing like you're supposed to, where you ply the opposite direction that you spin. I learned that. And then I wanted to just experiment with doing some, I think it's called Navajo plying or something like that. Because I was like, how do you ply yarn when you only have just that one bobbin, right? And basically, I made rope. But it was fun. I'm trying to find an end, but not. It's a big tangled mess. Oh, here we go. So yeah, that was an adventure. I was like, whoa. I think that's really about finding a good rhythm, and I don't think you want your tension at least for me, I think my tension was probably a little tight, and so it made it hard for me to keep up, and I was trying not to spin too fast. But basically, I guess is that considered a 3-ply? Somebody who knows more about yarn will know. But, yeah, it has I feel like way too much twist in it. It definitely kinks up on itself. See that? But it was fun to try. And most people will be like, you used your Malabrigo to do that? Well, yeah. if I'm fine with that. This isn't stuff I'm going to be able to use for to like knit up anything, I don't think. But this is great to use like to tie up the yarn and stuff like that. Like when it's like this, I use little scraps to tie it. So yeah, but it was fun to try. And I learned there's some on, I guess it used to be called Etsy, not Etsy, Craftsy, but I think it's called Blueprint now. I learned there's some tutorials and stuff, so I'm gonna watch those and see if I can learn some more about that. And then a lady I work with, she likes to do a lot of like play with the fiber and do a lot of fiber prep. So she sent me some of this. And this is some, I don't know what kind of fiber. I think it's merino, but that she prepped. She has a drum carder and all this kind of stuff. And she dyed this with beads, which is fun. And it's been interesting to, this is processed by hand. It's not any machine or chemicals on it. So it's been interesting. And you know what? I've been able to spin this so much more thin than any of the other yarns that I have or any other fibers that I've been spinning. So that's kind of interesting. So I don't know if I'm just getting better or if it's really the way the fiber was prepped or the fiber itself. And I think the technique I use for drafting is like the short forward draft where you kind of pinch and pull, pinch and pull, pinch and pull. But yeah, so when I get that all spun up, I'll show you what it looks like. But yeah, that's what's on my wheel now. So anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I hope I didn't go through that too quickly. Yeah. And I hope that you're getting plenty of knitting time. I hope that I hope that it's not too hot where you are, because I know there's some issues with the heat and humidity in places. And if it is, I really hope you have some air conditioner, because I know a lot of those northern places don't have air conditioning. Here in the South, we have air conditioning, thankfully. So I hope you're doing well and getting lots of knitting in. Oh, yeah. And you want to tell everyone goodbye? Huh? You want to tell them goodbye? You want to tell them everybody goodbye? You want to say bye to everyone? You got to tell them. Say bye. Say happy knitting. Happy knitting. All right. Happy knitting. Remember, one stitch at a time, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.